and welcome to Miss Bailey's Daily Dose. Today we are going to be learning to read for meaning, and it's a 5-step approach to answering reading comprehension questions that I know a lot of my children struggle with, and lots of parents who struggle on how to actually help their child. So we're going to be looking at the Year 3 text Thumbelina. It's just a section of it by Hans Christian Andersen. Now there's 5 steps to answering a really good comprehension question correctly. My first step is to read the question. Usually in a Year 2 test, and sometimes in the Year 3 reading comprehension tests, there'll be the question and then there'll be a little page number, usually in the right hand corner. So instead of the children reading the reams and reams of work and text that they need to read, that question will identify which page it is on. So for me, I always tell my children, read the question first, see if there's a page number that identifies it for you, and that tells you which page the answer is on. So read the question, step 1. Step 2, read that text. If it says page 5, you read page 5 and only page 5. Read it once, read it twice, read it as many times as you need to until you know that page inside out. So, number 1, read the question. Number 2, read that text. Number 3 is we go back to the question and we read it again. Because what usually happens with children, especially if they're not necessarily fluent readers, is they'll read the question. Yes, they know what the question says. They read the text and then they've forgotten what question they're actually answering. So it's really important that they're going back and reading that question again, and even underlining bits that are important. So who is the main character? If it says who, you know it's about someone, so you're going to have to put a name of the person. So underline and read that question again. Number 4, read the text again and find the answer in that text. So we've read the question, we've found the page that it's on, we've read that page, we've gone back and read the question and underlined any important bits that are actually going to tell us what we need to find. Then we go back and read that same page again. So read page 5 again, and then you're going to find the answer to that question in that page. And then number 5 is fill in the answer. And that's the bit that actually a lot of the children get wrong. They either don't copy it correctly, or they make it up, or they don't find it in the text. So it's really important that they're doing this 5-step approach to help them with their reading comprehension. So, the first question, read the question, the first step. Thumbelina's bed was made of, and it says up here it's on page 1. So Thumbelina's bed was made of. Now this one, it's quite an easy one because it gives you 3 options to look for. So was it made of wood, was it made of grass, was it made of stalks? So it tells me page 1, so I'm going to go to page 1, I'm going to read that text. So I've read the question, step 2, read the text. All the summer through, poor Thumbelina lived alone in the forest. She plaited herself a bed of green stalks and hung it up under a large dark leaf so that no rain might fall on her. She gathered honey from flowers and every morning drank the dew which lay on their leaves. So I've read that paragraph. I might read it again to remind me and to really understand what I'm reading. So all the summer through, poor Thumbelina lived alone in the forest. She plaited herself a bed of green stalks and hung it up under a large dark leaf so that no rain might fall on her. She gathered honey from flowers and every morning drank the dew which lay on their leaves. So I've done step 1 and step 2, now step 3. Read and underline the important information in the question. So I'm going back now to my question, that says Thumbelina's bed was made of. So I'm looking at Thumbelina's bed and I'm looking at what it's made of. So was it made of wood, grass or stalks? So I'm looking for the section that's talking about her bed. So all the summer through, poor Thumbelina lived alone in the forest. She plaited herself a bed of green stalks. So I know that the answer to that would be stalks. So I've read the question, I've read the text, I've read and underlined the important information in the question, I've read and found the answer in the text, and that's what I've done right here. You can see bed of green stalks, and then I've filled it in, just here. So you can see I've circled stalks. Perfect. So my 5 points, my 5 steps I've done in that question. Next question. Thumbelina ate bread, honey or grass? Again, I'm looking at the page number, it's page number 1. So I'm going back to that first page. I'm not reading anything else yet, I'm just on page 1. So, all the summer through, poor Thumbelina lived alone in the forest. She plaited herself a bed of green stalks and hung it up under a large dark leaf so that no rain might fall on her. She gathered honey from flowers and every morning drank the dew which lay on their leaves. Done step 1, done step 2. Step 3, read and underline the important information in the questions. So, it's talking about what Thumbelina ate. So, what does she eat? Now, in this part, it might not say Thumbelina ate. It might not say Thumbelina ate this exactly, but you need to have a look in that reading and see whether you can find it out and unpick it and discover it. So, if I go back, sorry, wrong one. So, all the summer through, poor Thumbelina lived alone in the forest. That's nothing to do with what she ate. She plaited herself a bed of green stalks and hung it up under a large dark leaf so that no rain might fall on her. Again, nothing to do with what she's eaten. She gathered honey from flowers and every morning drank the dew which lay on their leaves. So there is a section here that says that she drank something. It said that she drank dew from the leaves. Now, it's not asking me what she drank, it's asking me what she ate. But before that bit, it says she gathered honey from flowers. So I might think if she's gathering honey, usually we eat honey. You might spread it on your toast. Okay, so for me, I think that it's honey that she's going to be eating. So honey, and let's go back to my question. I think it's honey. Found it. Step 5 done. In this way, she spent the summer and the autumn. So question 3. In the winter, the birds, did they sleep, did they fly away, or did they sing? And again, I'm looking at page 3. So, read the question, now I need to read page 3. So I'm not going back to page 1, I don't need to. I'm not going to page 2, I'm going to page 3. But then winter came, the long cold winter. The birds which had sung so sweetly for her flew away on their long journeys. The trees withered, the large dark leaf which she had lived under shriveled up and became nothing but a yellow withered stem. So, read the question, read the text, go back to that question, you're underlining the important information now. So we'll do it in my red. In the winter, so it's in winter time, the birds. So what did the birds do? That's what I'm trying to find. So again, I'm reading that text. But then winter came, the long cold winter. The birds which had sung so sweetly for her flew away. So this is the bit that most children would get mixed up in. They read the birds which had sung so sweetly. Well, the birds sung, but is she saying that in the story? No. Okay, the birds which had sung so sweetly for her flew away. So previously in the summertime, in the springtime, they'd sung sweetly for her. Now they were flying away. So I'm underlining that they flew away, and I'm going back to my question, and I'm going to be circling they flew away. Next question. Why did Thumbelina hang her bed under a large dark leaf? Now, for this question, you can see there are no numbers. So this is where we're having to think about what we've read so far, so page 1, 2 and 3, and where we think we can find that information. Now, we can go back and read all of those pages, but it might be that we've read one of the pages and think, oh, I know it's on that page. So why did Thumbelina hang her bed under a large dark leaf? So if we go back through the bits that we've read so far, so if we start from here, and if I just erase all the things, oh, it'd be good if it would erase it. Here we go. Hopefully this will work. My board's been a bit slow, sorry guys. So if we erase it and then we read through, we can go from page 1, page 2 and page 3 and see if we can find it. So all the summer through, poor Thumbelina lived alone in the forest. She plaited herself a bed of green stalks and hung it up under a large dark leaf so that no rain might fall on her. So again, I go back to that question, which was, why did Thumbelina hang her bed under a large dark leaf? So the question is why, I need to give a reason. Did Thumbelina hang her bed under a large dark leaf? And I go back, and I know that in that first section, because I remember reading it, it does say something about Thumbelina and why she puts it under that large dark leaf. And it says here, so that no rain might fall on her. And I would write that exact sentence underneath that question. You might start, Thumbelina hung her stalk underneath the large dark leaf because, or so that no rain might fall on her. And you would copy that exactly. You're not going to say because she liked big leaves, because that's not in the text. You've got to make sure you're finding it in that text. Next one. Oh, sorry guys. What did Thumbelina drink every morning? Now remember we had that question about what she ate and we said that it was honey. So we know that that's on page 1. So what did Thumbelina drink every morning? We go back. So if I get rid of this, so we can't see it anymore because we want to find that question. All the summer through, poor Thumbelina lived alone in the forest. She plaited herself a bed of green stalks and hung it up under a large dark leaf so that no rain might fall on her. She gathered honey from the flowers and every morning drank the dew which lay on their leaves. So every morning she drank the dew. So your answer to that question would be, what did she drink every morning? She drank the dew off the leaves every morning. Number 6, why do you think she was called Thumbelina? Now, for this one, we need to have a look at page 4. So, we'll go from page 3, so it all flows in together. But then winter came, the long cold winter. The birds which had sung so sweetly for her flew away on their long journeys. The trees withered, the large dark leaf which she had lived under shriveled up and became nothing but a yellow withered stem. And she felt frightfully cold, for her clothes were now all torn and she herself was so tiny and frail. So again, we're going back to that question, which says, why do you think she was called Thumbelina? So I'm looking at why was she called Thumbelina and seeing whether I can find that in that text. So, and she felt frightfully cold, for her clothes were now all torn and she herself was so tiny and frail. So I'm thinking about Thumbelina, I'm thinking about the first part of that word, the thumb. And if I was describing a thumb, I probably wouldn't say it's a large thing, I'd say that it's quite a small thing. So I'm looking for a word that links with small. So frail, does that link with small? No. What about tiny? Yes. So she was a very, very tiny, she was as tiny as a thumb. That's why she was called Thumbelina. So she was called Thumbelina because she was tiny, just like a thumb. And that's what I would put in that answer. So because she was the size of a thumb and she was tiny. How do you think Thumbelina felt when winter arrived? Now this is looking at inference. So from what she's like, from how she reacts, how does she feel? And there are explicit ones in there, but there are also ones that you can use from the inference. So let's have a little look. So, sorry, switch sides, does this to me all the time. So how do you think Thumbelina felt when winter arrived? So we've got, she felt frightfully cold, for her clothes were now all torn and she herself was so tiny and frail. So we can see in this bit, the bits that tell us exactly how she felt. So she felt frightfully cold, that's what. For her clothes were now all torn, so we know her clothes were torn and she was so tiny and frail. If we look at the section before as well, we can also see that the birds that sang so beautifully to her every day flew away, the trees withered, the large dark leaf which she'd lived under shriveled up. So her home was gone, it was shriveled. She no longer had the protection of that dark leaf, so the rain would have been going on her. So we're thinking about all those things and then saying how we think she'd feel. So we know she was cold, but we might also say that she's upset. Her home's been destroyed. We might say that she's sad. We might say that she's depressed. Okay, those lovely birds have gone, all her family's gone away, those birds, all her friends have all gone, and she's got no home and she's freezing cold and she's got the rain on her. She might be feeling lonely, isolated. So thinking about any of those words and then placing them under there. Then number 8, what happened to the leaf that Thumbelina was living under? So once winter came, what happened to Thumbelina's leaf? So we're going back to this page here. But then winter came, the long cold winter. The birds which had sung so sweetly for her flew away on their long journeys. The trees withered, the large dark leaf which she had lived under shrivelled up and became nothing but a yellow withered stem. So I've read the question, I've read the text, I'm going back to the question again. So what happened to the leaf Thumbelina was living under? I'm underlining, so what thing happened to the leaf that she lived under? And I'm going back again. But then winter came, the long cold winter, the birds which had sung so sweetly for her flew away on their long journeys. The trees withered, the large dark leaves, this is what we're talking about, which she had lived under, shrivelled up. So if I go back to my question, I would write that her leaf shrivelled up, it died. And number 9, which word in the passage also means shrivelled up? So same section now. So we've said the large dark leaf which she had lived under shrivelled up and became nothing but a yellow withered stem. So we're looking at the adjective that means the same as shrivelled. So if I get rid of these ones. So which one means the same as shrivelled? And it's describing that dark leaf. So I'm now looking at what other adjectives are used to describe that dark leaf. So shrivelled up and became nothing but a yellow withered stem. So I've got yellow and withered. So out of these two, I've got to decide which one means the same as shrivelled. Well, I know that yellow doesn't mean shrivelled, so withered. Withered means shrivelled. If something's withered up, it's shrivelling. Like, for example, the petals on a flower might shrivel up. So the word would be withered. So that's just an example of how to use the 5 steps to answer reading comprehensions. Thank you.